All right, we are all set here. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared, and it is September 14th, 2022. Happy Wednesday. Title of this particular session, we're looking at kind of a market maybe kind of regathering itself after a fairly significant trading session. One, high volatility, as we expected with CPI data coming out. Um, some notable numbers in regards to the actual report. We did see things like gasoline prices coming down month over month. There's a couple of other small percentage drawdown readings, airline fares, and similar sort of energy related uh, industries. But overall, the majority of the report, if you're breaking it down into its individual sections, showed slight increases. And there's obviously some more notable increases in things like food costs, along with just the overall aggregate. We did see CPI come in at, as we pull up trading terminal, we can see the actual reading here for year over year from last year, 8.3 compared to the estimate of 8.1, along with the estimate and actual for month over month. Once again, we're seeing slight upticks from last month relative to just month over month comparison, but a lot of sensitivity to the year over year readings and the fact that we're looking for more significant drawdown or a stabilization here. Because the market did not see that, at least in the data report, we definitely felt an impact or a riff go through the marketplace yesterday. So, what are some things that transpired? First things first, we did breach the expected move this week. And as we know, the idea behind this entire study or the analysis here is whenever the marketplace is trading within expected move, the option market as a whole can kind of remain stable. There's not going to be too much push and pull relative to some hedging that has to take place by certain market participants. And for the most part, if the market prices things right, volatility stays very well contained. Whenever you get a breach like we did yesterday, that volatility can start to ramp up. We can also see a lot of open interest in the market, option contracts that are held either out of the money or to some degree, some of these are actually more speculative contracts. They can start becoming sensitive to price change. And with that sensitivity, the market maker, who for the most part facilitates the transaction, will start to become more of a hedging dynamic and force the market typically in the direction of the trend or the direction of the breach. So a lot of times we talk about this area as a big risk level. Once again, not support or resistance, but more about when do things start to accelerate. And we certainly felt that as the market started to breach this on the afternoon session. You'll note that for the most part, we were looking at a area of interest around 4,398 to 4,000 was certainly transacted for a period of time. We saw that breach occur kind of in your afternoon session as we started to lose our low of day and our channel. And from a technical sense, there was certainly a breakdown, back test, and then that final wave of selling, to which there was very little bounce. The market was under pressure at this time as a lot of those contracts became in the money and the hedging really was felt by downside pressure. So obviously some good downside trade yesterday. Market was pretty much correlated by the end of the day. There was a little to no stock that was green on the session. You'll see that with things like a heat map. If you're looking maybe on yesterday's session, pretty much nowhere to run, nowhere to hide in the equities market. But we did see a little bit of covering in things like bonds. Once again, rates are fairly sensitive right now, but there was some small uptick in bonds on yesterday's session. And something like a TLT will kind of show that as well. Little bit of a duck and cover back into what is normally a fairly risk-off environment, albeit the core trend of this entire market is down. So that's yesterday. The report is out. We got the move. A lot of things are now kind of on that razor edge of, are we going to continue lower, continue this sort of breach? We've certainly killed any sort of bullish momentum at this point in time. So market kind of has to recover, and maybe something like PPI, which is coming out at the end of this particular session, should once again spark a little bit of volatility. But obviously, a lot of bearish positions are now kind of in control. And ultimately, we're looking at a fairly sensitive market in a couple of areas. One, the dollar. Continue to talk about it as it continues to be in focus. Dollar picked up dramatically yesterday off of that neckline sort of support. We're seeing once again this sort of push and pull in regards to bullish when the dollar's coming off and bearish when the dollar sparks back to the upside. Be extremely careful thinking that this is a short-term thing. The dollar is still on that teetering edge of a breakout, and we're just kind of waiting to see what occurs here, but obviously trying to lose trend in regards to bullish equity positions. Rates also spiked on yesterday's session. Something as simple as a 10-year will showcase that we're already seeing similar readings to June highs. And I think more so than just a particular rate, you want to be extremely careful with regards to how inverted the yield curve is at this point in time. Whether you're looking at a 2-year compared to the 10-year, sort of your classic yield curve inversion comparison, or even something as simple as a 1-year, which also sparked up yesterday. The inversion is quite dramatic. It's one of the highest readings we've ever seen since something like 2006 and 2000. These inversions were anywhere between 25 to 0.25 to 0.5% at that point in time. We're now looking at a 1 in 10 year spread, so it's not the 2 in 10, but a 1 in 10, about 0.53 at this point in time. So essentially, the market is saying that there's dramatic risk occurring short term relative to long term in regard to rate sensitivity and what the expectation of the 1-year rate is going to be with regards to the Fed, adjustments. This is something we talked a little bit about yesterday. The idea that the sort of short-term Fed fund rate and the projection of next year's rates is coming in at about 4%. So the bond market is actually reflecting that approximation in regards to what the current 1-year rate is priced at. And I think that's important as well when you think about some of the probability adjustment that we're seeing off of yesterday's data. So yesterday, before CPI, the market, once again, not a bias here, this is market probability pricing. The market yesterday said that the Fed had about a 91% probability of a 75-point base rate hike in the September meeting. So pretty much a 1 out of 10 chance that it's going to be a 50 basis rate hike, and a 90% chance that it's going to be a 75 point. After CPI came out, that changed. No longer is the Fed fund contract reflecting any probability of a 50 basis point rate hike. Now we're seeing, just based on current comparison, it's about 2/3 probability that we get 75. And now there's a 1/3 probability approximately that we're going to get 100. So the market is not only pricing in the potential that we're going to see a more aggressive rate hike cycle this time around, but the lower probability of a more dovish rate hike is off the table. The market is basically saying that's a non-event at this point in time. So, with all of that, it's just more pressure, more risk in the future. And the market is certainly sensitive to these things currently, with regards to how it's positioned, what sort of hedging is taking place under the hood, and ultimately the risk appetite of the market. The idea that the market is really not looking for risk on behavior if things like this continue to crop up. And we're seeing that with corporate debt coming off. We're seeing it with the type of response we got yesterday, along with just the overall volatility that we continue to be faced with as traders and investors. We're certainly in the thick of things this year. Now, another thing to kind of pay attention to, vol futures. Haven't brought this up in a while, but it is back in focus. The reason being is if we're looking at our spread, and this is our October contract, so don't look at September. They're pretty much all rolling at this point in time, and the price levels here are less impactful. But start to look at in October, which has some volume here being transacted, and a November, the spread between these two. We're not inverted yet, but we're pretty close. Yesterday, we were looking at about $1 spread between these contracts. And what that meant was that vol pricing was relatively normal. You're seeing more risk in future vol pricing and therefore higher premium. Fairly normal product. And this is true when you're trading futures, regardless of the asset. If you have a normal spread, you're going to see higher pricing for future contract pricing. So that's your normal spread. Whenever it starts to flatten out, it's just showcasing that the relative risk of the asset price is starting to become similar short-term compared to, in this case, 1 month out. And as we start to look at product depth here, this is just showing each of those contracts as a point on the chart. And you can see how the prices in a normal spread, the red line here is about 2 days ago, so Monday this week. A normal spread will have a rising curve, a normal, rising curve. And this is true for bonds, it's true for crude, any product that kind of has that future risk modeling. You want to see this normal spread. Vol futures right now at this open, we're opening up kind of flat. So anywhere from October, or your mark prices, to November and December, these are all fairly flat at the moment. And what we've seen historically is whenever you go into a period where they are inverted, so your short-term vol is priced higher than your longer-term vol. Whenever that changes, the market goes into pretty wild fits of volatility. It's the times when we have things like gap down opens that get bought up. We have gap up opens that get sold off. And we start breaking typically trading ranges in the matter of an intraday session. The volatility expands, but it's also hard to manage. It tends to be a bit back and forth. What can also happen here is that if the market is trying to hedge off downside risk, so if we go to something like the vol of the vol, so VVIX, just saying, is the market seeing something dramatic occur? And I've got this relative inflection line. This is about when things start to get a bit more serious. The market actually came into this area yesterday. We're seeing, in this case, a little bit of a grab for vol premium, whether it be VIX premium or just long vol, because the market is starting to move. And not only is it starting to move, but there's a bit of a downside lean to this particular movement. So I know I keep saying the market tends to be on the razor edge at times. It kind of depends on the context here, but a lot of risk elements have started to peak back into focus. Whether you're talking about rate sensitivity, that's going to obviously hurt technology and growth related companies, especially if we see the bonds crest below their recent lows. We're seeing vol sensitivity, the likes of a slightly unhedged market. And if we all of a sudden see them start to reallocate towards protection, that can easily lead to a spark that can ignite a pretty significant flame. And then last but not least, the overall lack of confidence in regards to, policy, what is occurring with inflation. Obviously, people were not as happy with the reading yesterday. This narrative that inflation is cooling, there is some truth to that, but the sensitivity to a lack of consistent decline is what the market is mostly concerned with. And what does that do to the next rate cycle for the Fed? All those things are kind of driving trade. And when you think about what we did yesterday, this is more of what kind of hit the fan yesterday and what's kind of driving some of the downside right now. This is a significant option week for the market, the SPX in particular. Not only do we have 2 Friday series, but it's a monthly expiration, but we also have triple witching. So on Friday, it's going to be one of those periods of time where a lot of rolling and just heavy contract size goes through the market. The market yesterday had some heavy sensitivity to that 4,000 level. And the reason it's sensitive here is because if we were to hold above it, a lot of contracts in the SPX remained out of the money. So you'll notice here at 4,000, it's obviously some of the highest put volume or open interest that we see. Whenever we broke below it, there was this period of time where the market was trading a bit sideways and potentially could have recovered. If the market reclaimed 4,000, all of that put gamma exposure goes back into a period of less sensitivity and we can kind of turn the tide. The market didn't do that because we breached lower and because especially we started getting through the expected move. These put contracts became in the money and obviously put a lot of pressure in regards to how the market has to hedge off that risk. You want to be thinking when you buy or sell put contracts, there's often a market maker taking the opposite side of the trade. Whenever that happens, the market maker has to be delta and somewhat gamma neutral. The way they do that is they buy or sell the product that you're trading. So if I'm long, let's say, or if I buy a put in something like the SPX or even the SPY, the market maker is going to sell it to me. They're going to be short a call, and there's going to be a certain delta that the market maker has to basically hedge off. They have to remain neutral for the most part. They're considered bona fide hedgers. It's I forget the the actual legislation. And I think it's the Dodd-Frank, I want to say, but don't quote me on that one. Anyway, so their whole goal is to actually reduce that risk. Usually they do it in regards to selling ES futures or buying them in the case of the opposite trade. If they're in a particular stock, they'll just buy or sell the product. So if you're long or short contracts in something like Apple, the market maker is buying and selling Apple shares to facilitate that risk. So we've talked about how this dynamic, when it starts to reach critical levels, can actually become the main driver of trade. And it's important to understand that when you start to see these large moves, it's not to say that everybody is selling the S&P. There is obviously a bit of stopping out and just people who are fearful selling into this weakness, selling into the fear. But really what's driving the market, especially near the lows, is a lot of hedging. It's a lot of market makers who are forced into doing certain behaviors that will put pressure on the overall price of the market. So in this case, the S&P. So be careful, assuming too much about what's going on under the hood. It's a lot of market dynamic, especially when you talk about SPY, SPX, ES futures, the NASDAQ, anything that's a heavily traded product. There's more than just buying and selling of shares and the product itself. There's also just risk. There's market risk, there's exposure risk, and there's some things that are automatic. There's algorithmic trading risk that has to be hedged off. So that's yesterday in a nutshell. A lot of things are not necessarily changing dramatically. They're just getting back into focus. A lot of risk in this market. You always want to be careful assuming things are going to hold. We've seen a lot of trends break, usually very dramatically. And I think overall, if you recall about a week and a half ago, I kind of mentioned the idea that you should not remove hedges too soon. The market was in sort of a neutral period here, both in the VIX and the fact that we had come off of this low. So the idea was that if you're hedged, remain hedged. The market really hadn't gone to an extreme. And the worst case scenario for a hedge is that the market goes back into a period of calm or normal movement. A hedge is built to protect you against that. Your normal position, your portfolio, most of the time your long exposure will benefit from normal market conditions because it tends to be relatively bullish. But whenever the market goes through periods of volatility, that's when having that hedge will protect you without having to necessarily sell your position. Depending on what your time sensitivity is and just your overall risk tolerance, the hedge protects you. It allows you to stay in the game, and it basically offsets the temporary downside that you might experience. So congratulations, Regan. Got a BBT member coming back in, fully engaged. So welcome to the party. So anyway, for today, we have PPI. That's going to be coming out in about 5 minutes. Is it a market moving event? I would say the market's sensitive right now, especially if we see more downside. Yesterday was a big shake, and based on our title, a big shake and bake to the market. We're also on this sort of relative technical trend line. I would argue that we're pretty close to something more dramatic than what we saw, because we sold off from highs. If we start selling off from the low end of our overall trading that we saw recently, that's when bulls are really going to start to feel it. And once again, we're already under expected moves, so there's already sensitivity to option contracts. So be extremely careful assuming things have to happen in this market. I think a lot of people yesterday might have been caught off guard with how strong the selling happened to be, and the fact that there was no bounce resolution at most of the like the 5-minute bounces. Most of them were pretty poor, and it can get people trapped. It can get people kind of thinking something's going to change intraday, and then it never comes. And unfortunately, for some people, it can actually hurt them dramatically. It can take them out of the game. As day traders, we are always sensitive to the amount of time that we have to trade, the fact that our setup has to be confirmed and targets have to be met for us to be profitable. And if something is not working, whether your assumption, your bias, your entry is not quite right, the volatility picks up, whatever it happens to be, you have to get out of the position. I myself was holding a little bit of long risk around 388.50 on the S&P, looking for the bounce. I was looking for about 400. Unfortunately, we breached a little bit lower. I had to stop out, and then a bounce came later. So the market was testing a lot of positions. But as we started to breach lower, there was literally no hope. I mean, the longs were dead. That hedging dynamic really kicked up. So as a day trader, don't assume, the market can do whatever it needs to do to protect itself. The risk is what is important. As a day trader, we want to be, one, on the side of the move, but two, protecting ourselves if we're wrong, no matter what that looks like. So, yesterday was probably a bit of a challenge for a lot of people with how deep we went, the lack of bounce, and just the overall performance of the market. It's a very rare trading session, one to note and one to kind of be aware of in the future. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and drop here a couple of minutes early, allow for PPI to kind of be prepared for. Trade safe today. We'll talk a bit more tomorrow. I know there's a few things I want to cover relative to some questions, and we'll have time tomorrow to kind of deep dive. So talk to y'all then, and stay tuned for pre-market prep.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to PreMarket Prep. I hope you're having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys had an incredible day yesterday. I know if you were short, you did short anything but Twitter. You did very well. But hopefully, you guys had an incredible day. So, all right, we got some numbers coming out here. PPI in a couple of minutes. We'll see how that does and how that treats the market. Again, just look at the SPY here, guys. What a drop. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Definitely feeling better and doing better than the SPY yesterday. That is for sure.
Oh, man.
And we'll see what comes out here in a couple of minutes. So, Norm, just run us down to what's happening in a couple of minutes here.
Well, in 1 minute exactly from right now, we will get a PPI final demand for August, another inflationary measure, producer price index. So we'll see if that has any effect. When I got up this morning, the things were up a decent amount. They've pulled back considerably. They actually went negative while I was out dropping my son off. And it looks like we've come back to positive. I'm highly skeptical of a positive market after that massive drop yesterday.
Same.
This list is meh. There was one on the gap up earlier. I think it was a lower float biotech. It has since dropped off. 1.3 million on BIAF. So yeah, we're all to the downside. I would anticipate a slow slide. That inflation number, it's hard because it gets released while we're on the show. And I don't get really a chance to dig into it until we're off. And then as I started looking at it, and I mentioned it, PPI. That's not good. Okay. PPI was essentially in line with what was expected. Core was higher, I think. I don't have the expected number there. It was negative 0.1% on the headline number and plus 0.4, I believe, on the core. That was the concern yesterday, was that core PPI number or core CPI number, because we all know gas prices have come down. While they're still high. They've come down considerably from when they hit their recent peak in early summer, late spring. And so we knew that was going to help things. What we didn't anticipate was everything else got more expensive despite that. So yeah, it's not a pretty picture. They've got there are people talking, it's 3/4. People were talking last week 0.5% to 75 basis point on the Fed funds rate coming up for their meeting next week increase. Now people are thinking, I've heard 75, obviously, but I've heard as high as 125 basis points, which that's like panic mode kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I would be blown away if they did 125 basis points, but I think the Fed fund futures, and I missed Jared, he probably spoke about this earlier. I think there's a 1 in 3 chance predicted by that it'll be 100 basis points, a full percentage point increase. So,
yeah. And he actually did speak on that. It's exactly it. I mean, 100 is on the table. 50, 75 is on there, 50 barely. Right. So, yeah.
I don't even think 50 has any bets placed on it
no,
at this point. When I saw it this morning, I don't even think there's a chance of that.
Yeah. No, that's right now. So yeah, man, we'll see. It's definitely interesting, guys. Us as day traders, guys, just keep in mind, we spoke about this yesterday, right? Having a bias. I'm sure there's a lot of people, and Jared spoke about this a little bit, that got stuck looking for a bounce and it never came, right? So you got to be careful on sticking to something,
Yeah, and the other concerning thing about yesterday, if you pull up a 5-minute, which you got, and you show for yesterday, things accelerated to the downside into the close.
Right. Yeah.
We were having a nasty bad day, and then you start hitting that 1 o'clock, the last few hours of the market, and then especially the very end, that's margin calls. There's margin calls on big money that took bets, and we spoke about it in the pre-market yesterday as well. It was up. It was up decently after some pullbacks and ahead of that number. And some people were betting that inflation was slowing down substantially, and they got caught on the wrong side of that. Bad.
Yeah. No question, man. No question. Today will be interesting because if I look at the SPY and you look at several days where we've been red as big as this, and we actually gapped down. It hasn't been a bounce back day when we've been this bad.
It's not
like
common.
You see it here. You see it here. Obviously, it's a real bad one. You see it here. If you look at these days, there's maybe one here. The real big ones don't bounce back that easy. So I'm with you there, man. I think we'll see some more downside, maybe some sideways action. But I think this is not
That's the only thing.
Right.
If you were arguing the other side of that, the only thing I guess you could say is that maybe people thought it was overdone. But that's who the hell wants to put money in the market this morning after seeing that yesterday?
Who's going to want to hold overnight or something like this?
Other than
put money in.
Wood.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's get into it. Yesterday, guys, I'm not going to go through this. We kind of spoke about the market overall, and the song and dance was the same. Apple, AMD, everything just following the overall market, the drop, except Oxy and Twitter. Twitter, for some reason, and I don't know what the news was. I know you had this on your radar, Norm, because there was some possible news here.
The whistleblower for Twitter, their former security chief, I think it was, that came out and blasted him a while back, was testifying on Capitol Hill.
Oh, okay. So they were probably the only stock I had on my list that was actually green. That actually did very well there. So interesting stuff there on Twitter. All right, let's remove this list, guys. Let's see what's on our gappers this morning. Control A, Control X gets rid of that. BIAF is back on here. What is this thing doing? Oh, it's a nasty daily, but low flow at 945,000. Man, it is on fire right now, up 34%, and back on the gap up list 1.4. Guys, it's in play. It's definitely in play. Low flow of the day. Just got to remind you how careful you have to be on this one, right? So just be very, very cautious. And that's it. That's all on the gap up. Let's see what's gapping down today. ALT, this is wow, 55% down today. So big drop this morning or last night. Looks like this morning. So not sure what's going on with this one.
Yeah, they had news here on a study, on a phase 1B study, which the headline doesn't seem all that bad, but they're getting smoked on it today.
There's something that they didn't like there. Biotech company, I'm assuming, autoimmune.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So interesting stuff there. Float on this bad boy is 48 million. So it's not a low float, but you best believe it's going to be here in our risky pile because it is moving like one. I mean, what is it? Look at this candle here. I wonder if this looks like actual price action too. $8.16
You
and
have to
back
go to
down.
1 minute to make
Let,
sure.
us see that. I mean, that is. Oh no. That's
No.
that's a transaction just being recorded there. But either way, so take these two out. It's still moving pretty aggressive. So guys, be very careful. Set back to our 5 minute. All right, here we go. So yeah, we'll put that on there. Next, our NRBO. This one is garbage, guys. Doesn't get the volume. The fun is over. We had one day where we had significant volume here. Outside of that, look at it. Yesterday we had 18 million, and look how we moved on this thing. Man, this is scary. So I know it's a low flow and you could probably catch some opportunities. This is very, very risky because you're not getting volume. It's moving very nasty. So I'm not going to add that to my list. SQ this morning is down 4.6.
Yeah, that just had a reverse stock split not long ago, I believe, to remain listed. A 1 for 30. So yeah, just run from that. That's pure garbage.
Yeah, that's nasty. That's nasty. Get away from that. SQ has something going on today. I mean, we're down 4.6 very early on this morning. So I wonder if there's any news here. This looks good. I like that drop this morning today. And again, the market has not been dropping like this. They seem to be having their own thing going on based on this pre-market. We'll see if we have anything on that. Going to X.
Hamish saying SQ got a double downgrade from Bernberg.
All right, there we go. So we'll put that on the list, guys. I like their pre-market today. So yes, that looks good. Here is X. We haven't traded X, at least I haven't in a very long time. I don't think it really is in play. It looks very light on volume. Yeah, I don't think it's really in play this morning. COUP, definitely not in play this morning. No volume. CLF, nope. And PHQ, yeah, nothing happening there. All right, so again, not a whole lot to look at here. We are just kind of eyes on the spy and what the overall market's going to react like today. It's pretty flat right now with the numbers that came out. So
I think we can just pack it in and take a nap.
Come back around 9:15, 9:28. See what's actually moving. We'll take some tickers from you guys, but I'm gonna be looking at, and just to kind of save some time here, we'll look at Apple. That's gonna be on my list. Following the overall market, Nvidia, the big tech stuff here. What else we have in Apple, Nvidia? Who am I missing? AMD is good. We'll be looking at those because they can move with the overall market. You can catch some really decent opportunities there. Norm, anything you have your eyes on? I know you had Twitter yesterday, which was again, that was a sleeper yesterday, man. They completely the opposite of what the market did, which was nice. What else do you have on deck this morning?
I mean, at Neo, it's been positive the last couple of days and not really following the trend. So I kind of like that. The only thing I see there is it's coming up against 200 on the daily, and it hit its head on it yesterday and backed off. I don't know if it can get through, but it's been in play the last couple of days, so it might be something. Other than that, I mean, I think you're playing either. I mean, my personally, I'll be listening for news to see if any news comes out on anything that might give something a catalyst, or market proxies, Apple, or TQQQs, stuff like that.
Yeah. Interesting. Why is Neo not showing me a daily here? Is that just me, or are you guys having the same issue?
Just you. I've got it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get everything else but the daily.
Try taking it off take it off your list and add it back on, or add it into your.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I went here, hit back, and I don't know. It was weird. Okay. So there it is. Yeah, Neo's been on fire, man. Let's put that on here. I agree with you 100% there. All right, let's take it to the chat. See what you guys like this morning. RBLX. Let's see what we have here. right now. Pretty much flat right now. So again, not a whole lot going on it. Was pretty quiet yesterday as well. Looks like didn't really sell down with the market, so just kind of stuck in there. Looks good for a continuation. But this continuation, which way, up or down? It can go either way here. It really can. I mean, so I don't see anything heavily in play at the moment. SQ is good. I have that on the list here this morning. Neo, Rivian. We had Rivian on last week. Actually, they did well yesterday. Look at Rivian popped up pretty good here as well. Since they're news, they've been trading higher volume here and very active. Pre-market action doesn't give you a whole lot to go on. So maybe a possible. We'll see if that strength is going to continue on Rivian here. David from Connecticut giving us Starbucks. What do we have going on here? Interesting daily. Quiet pre-market activity. You're not going to get a whole lot from Starbucks. They're not an icy stock, but they trade like one at times. Just to get great volume in the pre-market. We'll put it on here, David, for you. We'll see what happens in a few minutes. NVIDIA is waking up. Yeah, I'm sure these guys are going to start firing up depending on what the SPY wants to do here, right? The minute the SPY starts taking a direction, these guys, like Apple has 1 million shares already. NVIDIA has 600, AMD 500, and it's only 841. So volume is there. Once the SPY picks a direction, I guarantee you these things are going to follow suit. All right, here we go. Lauren, thank you for the $10. Is that euros? Yeah, it's $10, 10 euros, right?
That's pounds.
That's pounds. Okay, here we go. Long time, guys. I hope you have been great. It's good to see the channel still going strong. Hopefully, I can be on track with it again. Have a good one, man. Glad to see you. Thanks for the support and welcome back, man. We're definitely glad to have you back. So here's AMD, guys. Neo, all good there as well. Let's take a look. Starbucks, NVIDIA waking up. Amazon. What is Amazon up to? I'm sure doing what everything else is doing. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. You could pick your favorite guys today as far as this goes. I mean, I got Apple, NVIDIA, and AMD as far as that. But, Amazon and the rest of the other suspects you can select there. We have Oxy. Oxy was another one that didn't quite sell off as hard as everything else yesterday. You had a little bit of a sell-off here and just kind of went sideways pretty early on and tried to recover a little bit. So Oxy is always interesting, I think. Today, pre-market action less than yesterday. It could be interesting, but more of a possible, really. It could be a hit or miss. You just kind of got to check in with it and see what it's doing after the bell and see if there's any opportunities there if it's trending in any direction. ADTX, this is up 50%, 1.9 million. So we gapped up and really just been going sideways here. So I'm not sure what the catalyst is. I missed the notes there on this one. ADTX. So what's the float? 54 million share float. I don't think this is going to trade well.
It's biotech. It's had a reverse split yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to trade well.
Or it's announced one. In order to try to remain listed, I would run.
Yeah, these reverse split.
Whenever you see a reverse split, stay the F away.
It's horrible, guys. I mean, it
means they're in it's a company that cannot maintain a stock price high enough to maintain its listing generally.
Yeah, it's bad news. And the price action, guys, will be horrible. And this thing is moving easily $2 on these candles. So look at this candle here, 29.78 to 26.30. Do you want to be part of that with only 42,000 shares traded? No way. Stay away from that. ADTX, no good. Oracle usually is not the best day trading ticker. My DAS today is, and so it looks like it's only me, is really acting funky. Really acting funky as far as loading up tickers. Give me one sec, guys. I'm going to just close and come back in. What happened?
It's not me, it's you.
Yes. So give me 1 second. I'm going to put this screen here. I'm just going to. They can right now. You're on.
Okay. I didn't see my thing moving in the room, probably on YouTube. But remember, guys, we've encountered this before. We encountered it in spring 2020, and then here and there over the last couple of years when things have been extremely volatile and lots of volume in the market, which I anticipate. I mean, we're at 1.6 on the SPY already. We'll have heavy volume today. You can get some weirdness in trading platforms. It's not only DAS. It's so much data going through it all at the same time that it gives it a little bit of a hiccup.
Yeah, looks like whatever it was on my end because I'm loading some stuff pretty fast now, so that worked. I saw some of you guys right now.
Hamish is also mentioning there was a big Windows update overnight, and maybe it's throwing some kind of issue with the trading platforms too. So,
I saw that.
I don't know that I updated, but
and I didn't do it. Like I wait for the weekend.
Do it? Okay.
No, I'm waiting for the weekend.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It can mess up my whole thing with the setup. The last update, they changed our volume. Remember that our mics were completely screwed up. So yeah, I'm gonna wait till the weekend before we do that. So BBBY guys, starting to heat up a little bit here, up 2.2. No volume just yet. We know how much volume this thing can get. Still very high short interest being reported here. You just gotta wait to see when this thing hits the scanners. It's gotta have heavy volume going through it, and if we're gonna be squeezing today, this could be an opportunity to get something going there. But I don't see it in play based on how we've seen this stock trade in the past. Charge point
Reagan do charge point, and then Reagan's trying to get me in trouble with Beyond the Meat.
We're looking at it. Beyond the Meat looking tasty at $21. I'm sure it is. Here's charge point, guys.
If it was tasty at what? If it was tasty at 100, it should be delicious at 20.
I will agree with that. Charge point here, guys, 273,000. I like the pre-market activity on these guys. They usually don't have a great pre-market action. Remember, they are a nicey stock, although a lot of energy companies sitting in the NASDAQ. But this one, nicey stock, and we'll see. Day looks okay. We just got to see how the market opens on this thing here. And then let's look at our buddy here, BYND, and see what we got going on there. It looks good, man. It looks really good at 21.30. Looks great.
Pea protein, and in the back is some lettuce. It just looks a little brown.
There you go, man.
With a nice smoke ring.
Excellent, delicious. Nothing happening here. Obviously, we're joking on this one, and we're set, man. Let's get to announcements. We'll come back. This list is gonna grow. We see Lululemon coming in here as well. We usually don't see this stock. No volumes, nothing happening. Let's go to bearwithtraders.com. We had a great webinar yesterday by Thor. And man, it was jam-packed with information. Recording should be up this afternoon if you missed it. You can always head to webinars here off our webpage, and you can have access to what's happening for the next 2 weeks.
Yep, just go to bearbulltraders.com/webinars. Every Monday night, we've got onboarding and technology with Carlos and Mike, 8 p.m. Eastern. Join that, and that is open for free. We'll show you something in a second on YouTube. Strategy on Tuesday next week, 5 p.m. We've got Eamon talking about managing an open position. Then the following week, on the 27th, Andrew is going to be talking about how he set up his trading station. That should be a really interesting one. I know it might be a little basic for some people, but I know that there's a lot of people out there that will be interested in that. So come check that out. Then on Wednesday, psychology is focused. So tonight, this is Wednesday. My days have been screwed up all week, and it must be something going on because I heard Andrew ask yesterday what day it was when he first came on. 5 p.m. this evening, guys, special time. Mental Edge, Creda will be discussing that, and then next week, 8 p.m., analyzing your psychology journal with Mike. It's Wednesday in the U.S. Thank you, Rafsilla. All right. Mentorship, 11 a.m. with John, 4 p.m. with Ed, and 8 p.m. with Thor. Thor, I know, left this morning to go, I believe, to Arizona. So I don't know what the status of that is for tomorrow night, but we'll let you know. And then stocktradingsimulator.com, our free web-based replay simulator where you can go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and hone your trading skills for free. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll show you something in just a second, but you can also come into the room, use the promo code PreMarket24 to get a discount on the 1-week trial. That is a one-time payment. It does not recur. Sign up at bearbulltraders.com on the homepage about halfway down that intro membership and use the promo code PreMarket24. If you'd like to become an elite member and gain access to all the webinars and the recorded ones from the past, use the promo code READ50 to get half off and a free one-on-one coaching session with Dr. Kenneth Reed. If you could pull up the homepage, Carlos, that would be fantastic. See this beautiful new thing at the top of the page? You don't even have to be a member to go to the onboarding class now. So just go to bearbulltraders.com, put your email in there. You will get a reminder a couple hours before that Monday class, 8 p.m. Eastern, where you can go check that out live. So there you
All
go.
right, thank you very much. And I'm so with you on the dates, man. I thought yesterday was Wednesday and today was going to be Thursday. My wife is like, "Are you nuts?" Because I was asking her about this appointment we have with my daughter. I'm like, "Okay, what time do I got to be there?" And she's like, "What are you talking about? It's Tuesday." I'm like, "It's Tuesday? What?" Yeah, it's
been all
something with
messed
this
up.
week, man. Something's happening.
How's speaking of your daughter? How is she?
Well, the surgery went well on Friday. For those
Yeah.
that don't know, my daughter had for the last 7 months have had all these ear infections, about 8 ear infections back to back to back.
Brutal.
And it's just been brutal with the fevers and everything. Finally, she met the code, not the code, but she met the requirements to get tubes in her ears. So we got them done Friday. She's been bleeding a little bit through one of the ears. I actually have a checkup with her tomorrow. That's the meeting I was
Yeah.
talking about. But it went well, man. It's so fast nowadays. They went in 5 minutes, they knocked her out, and the recovery was more about her coming off the anesthesia that they put in to knock her out. So
Of course.
but she's doing great, man.
Well,
She's
good to
doing
hear.
pretty good. So thank you,
Once
man. Thanks for
once she
asking.
recovers from that, I'm sure everything will be 100% better, man. Because I've heard
Yeah.
just horror stories of people going through that, and then it
Yeah.
just drastically changes everything. So
The
good luck.
the same afternoon, man, when we were talking to her, you could see she was just kind of like eyes open, like, wow, the hearing was a lot
Wow.
different. But the
Nice.
doctor said hers was so bad that it felt for her, it'll feel like she was talking underwater the whole time, like she was
Ugh,
underwater in her ears. I was
that's
like,
awful.
wow. So
That's no good.
doing much better, man. Thanks again. With that said, guys, let's get to it. Let's look at this list here. Again, this thing is going to change as we move forward. And I think
We
a
actually
lot of
had
it,
some things popping up on the gap up list while we were
yeah,
chatting about that. So
yeah. Did you
I'm going to
catch it?
repeat it.
Yeah.
Well, it was ChargePoint already up there, BBBY. There was one more. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
Microsoft came up
Yeah.
and then came off. I'm going to reiterate what I said at the beginning of the show, and then I'll let you get to levels like you
Yeah,
usually
sure,
do.
man.
But I just know there's a lot of people that don't join us in the first few minutes. I am highly skeptical of the market being up right now. I want to
Yes.
see what it does today. I could be wrong, but I don't remember a day when the market was up after a huge drop like that, at least anytime recently. But all right, especially one to the magnitude we had and the turnaround that we had. I mean, it was huge. People see that there was a 1,200 plus point drop on the Dow, and the reason I mentioned the Dow is because that's what on every major mainstream news source, they don't talk about the S&P. You turn in one of the nightly newses at in the evening, and they talk about the Dow and flash the red on the screen. That's what people are looking at.
Yeah.
That don't do this all the time. That scares the hell out of them. So anyway.
And it's funny how you look at this chart and you don't realize that, how bad this candle really is because we're gapping down, right? So you kind of forget that this is coming from up here, guys. I mean, just look at this massive drop, right? You have this one here opens up. It's bigger than this one, much, much bigger, right? So again, it's pretty decent drop here. All right. Yeah, guys, just be careful. Take note of that as you're trading this morning. And again, patience, right? If the first couple of minutes, we might see some chop here until things start picking a direction. If they are going to pick a direction, we could see chop all day. Just be patient with the process, man. Wait for something to set up. Carlos, can you go over ALT, please? I feel like it's a fluke. It has a pretty positive news, but stock collapses. Yeah, Norm mentioned that the catalyst was not so bad on this, and it was dropping. What is it here? 50%. Yeah, man, this is maybe an overreaction. The computers read something wrong because already the bounce seems significant. We went to 750 here and we're up at 10. Right? So it's yeah, this is interesting, but just be careful. It's not a low flow, by the way, too. It's a 48 million shares flow, so you can have some solid trading on this one. This is definitely in play. I'm putting it here as a risky one because it is moving pretty aggressive today, although it is not a low flow stock. But yeah, man, maybe an overreaction. That's the only thing I could think of here. Why we would drop this much? It doesn't make sense on such a not so weak, right? It's not like they failed the phase one. It's not like it failed. It's just, I don't know. It's weird what this is acting, but look at the recovery right now, man. 750, and it is running quite a bit. So this will be interesting. All right. Let's see here. Head on down because I want to guess some people sold the news, but there were no buyers. Yeah, could be, man. Could be. Uh that's a big drop for that though. That is a big drop for it to do that. I mean, it's 50%, right? Uh you could see some of that, but 50% is a lot for that. So it doesn't make sense there. Okay, let's take a look at what we have here, guys. So right now, SQ Apple, our usual suspect, Apple, Nvidia, AMD. We have NEO today, which again, the last couple of days, NEO has managed to really be so strong here. And it's so funny. If you guys remember at the open, Brian mentioned this, right? NEO opened up. NEO was down, it gapped down based on our overall market. And Brian was saying it doesn't make sense. Why is NEO being affected by what the SPY is doing, right? You get a little bit, but not such a big drop like this. And it recovered. It recovered the entire day yesterday. I believe Brian took advantage of that as well. This morning we're down 2% with some really good volume. Neo is starting to remind me a little bit the last couple of days of what Neo used to be. So that is nice, man. Hopefully we can get that stock to trading well again. And look at the difference between this stretch here, how these can, especially in here, how bad these candles have been, right? This is why we have not really traded Neo. And some of these moves here, if you look at them closely, we had a couple in this drop here. It'll be the first couple of minutes we get a pop or a drop, and then it's just complete sideways action, right? So that's great if you want to scalp quickly, but then the rest of the day is just shot. So glad to see them doing well here. Neo's on deck here, up to, down 2%. We have Microsoft popped up on our gappers list. More of a possible right now for Microsoft. And I'm going to take a quick look at PayPal coming up on our gappers list. See if there's anything interesting happening there. So PayPal right now, pretty light on volume daily. Just kind of moving sideways a bit here. All right. Let's do some levels, guys. We can always come back and see what else has popped up on our list here. And if you guys have any more questions, since we have time, it's a little bit early, we can definitely get into them. Dragos Nowitzki, yeah. So we just kind of talked about ALT a little bit here. And look at this, man. This was definitely an overreaction. This bounce back is pretty aggressive, man. We already we were down 50-60%. We're already only down 40% here. So definitely overreaction. Let's see how this is going to look in a couple of minutes here. Somebody misread the algos misread the title there. I thought it was a negative one, and actually probably wasn't as bad. It happens. Again, these humans make mistakes. These algos are programmed by humans. Somebody made a mistake. That's what it looks like now. Again, you really never know. So don't take this and say, "Oh, Carlos said it was a mistake on the algos." No, don't do that. You really never know what's behind all the movement, right? All right, so let's do some levels. We have SQ on deck. SQ, I like the daily on it. I like the pre-market action today. We're dropping quite a bit. 4.6 is a lot for SQ, and really the market has not dropped that much today or at all for it to have this reaction that we're seeing today. So I like that there. 63, and this was a downgrade, I believe. Right, downgrade Hamish put on there on the notes as well. 63.69 on the daily is a good level of support there. And then another one over here is for 60.96, right? 60.96, nice level of support and resistance right on there. So today, SQ is looking good. Normally, I don't trade SQ very well, but today might be the day. Looking very nice this morning. Towards the top, highs and lows of the last two trading days, doing a pretty good job there. I would love to have a good level between the price action now and this previous day close at 69.58. So let's just kind of zoom in here, see if we can find a decent level that pops out. Might be this one, 67.78. Again, not a whole lot of weight on this, but there's actually a couple of days on this, opening, closing right around here, even here as well the last couple of weeks. Yeah, 67.78, guys, is a good one. Let's throw that on there. I'll look at SoFi in a second. I'm going to put it on the list there. Thanks, Brad. Let's look at Apple. So Apple this morning, again, just overall SPY movement as we saw yesterday. High of the pre-market, we're doing 155.34, and then we got a nice level of support here, obviously where we stopped off last night. And high of the pre-market, above that we have a area right in here, which is going to be roughly 157. Got a couple of days in here, but again, guys, all eyes on the SPY when it comes to this thing. It's not moving on its own, obviously. Apple, Nvidia, and AMD are the exact same thing, right? That's what we're looking for here. So hopping on to Nvidia. Nvidia, as far as levels, have the pre-market 132.90. Below that, similar to Apple, we have this level of support right on here that we've been kind of trying to stay above as the market dropped yesterday. We do have 130.67 low of the pre-market and getting a little bit of a bounce as many things are this morning. Again, nothing too big to bank on, but definitely trying to stay in the green side of things here as we move forward. 135.70, another level here that we have between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days and today's price action. So that's Nvidia. The AMD is 77. Man, look at that. AMD obviously not doing well. And what do we have here? Highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. I do have this level right in here, which is going to be 79.77. That is worth noting. Got a couple of days opening, closing right around that area. Obviously, we're finding support in here at 77. 77 actually the previous day close, and below that 76.58. So we're set there. I'm not going to worry about going to find levels all the way down here. I mean, I guess we can. If the SPY is going to drop, you do want to have these on there. But we'll see. My eyes are going to be on the SPY, and then I'll pick which one of these is trading the best one. Or you could trade the SPY directly as well, or one of the ETFs also, right? The TQQ is also for the NASDAQ and so forth. Here is NEO. NEO this morning down 2%. I really like NEO because I think it's doing its own thing, right? NEO and Apple are going to be my top 2 that I'm going to be focusing on, and obviously keeping an eye on the SPY, of course. But NEO is a good one today. I definitely love the daily on it. I like the way they've been trading the last couple of days. I like the fact that they were strong yesterday. It's just not following the market. Let's see what it does today. 1 million shares traded right now. Low of the pre-market 21.40 at the moment. Stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days, previous day close, all that good stuff is right in this box in here. So you are set. Looking outside of this box, if we were to look at a bigger picture, if we were to move out of that, 19.17 looks decent. And we have another one right over here, over around 18.11. I don't think we're heading down, though. I think NEO has been showing a lot of strength on the daily, hitting a little bit of resistance here. And towards the top of this resistance that we got going on, where the previous day close is around 22, we do have 23.06. But again, we struggled to get above that a couple of times, right? So let's see if we have the strength to make that happen today, if that is the case. Also, keep in mind, we have rallied quite a bit here on the daily. It could be due for a break if this thing doesn't have any more juice left to get going. But NEO trading very, very nice. Love the volume this morning. Reminding me of some good old times there on NEO when the EVs were on fire. So SQ, Apple, Nvidia, AMD, and NEO all looking really good this morning. All right, and when someone mentioned SoFi, no, I'm not seeing it. For me, I'm not seeing anything explosive on this thing. I'm very picky with SoFi. It's got to look extra good, right? Because I don't trade it very well. I think it trades a little bit, not choppy, but the price action and the way the price flows is not what I prefer to trade, right? So it's got to look very good, very explosive. Even with the 9.3, this is not attractive, giving this pre-market activity, right? So and these guys, they trade heavy volume even when they're not in play, right? We've seen days like this one here do nothing, and what do we trade? We traded 34 million, right? So they can trade heavy volume even on non-good days. So 1.9, again, probably a couple of block trades here and there, but it doesn't attract me as far as what I'm seeing in the pre-market, right? And again, just the history of the way the stock trades, I know that I want to see something very, very aggressive, it gapping up quite a bit, breaking out, great pre-market activity. I'm just going to be picky with it. But I'll keep it as a possible, and then we can always check in the we can always check out after the bell to see if anything looks good that we can take advantage of. All right, excellent, guys. What else do we have? Did that IPO open up yesterday, Peter? What was the IPO yesterday that they kept pushing back? I'm curious to see if they opened up on a day like yesterday with the SPY. It's just a bloodbath. What was the IPO? W something. WLDS. Yes, there you go. It did. Okay, there we go. Opened up at seems to be, what is this? $4. All right, so nothing crazy. Nothing crazy as far as the IPOs. We've seen some insane stuff happen lately, but yeah, nothing too crazy here. And typical stuff. IPOs usually open up and they pop up and sell off for the most part. Here is BA. So BA this morning, again, dropped with the whole market yesterday. Pretty flat right now. I mean, it can really go all the way. And it can really go any way here. Their drop, though, does take them down past this level of support here. Like if you notice some of the other stuff like Apple, right? We're coming right back down to where we had recent support right on there. NVIDIA, AMD, all the same thing. We're coming back down to this area of support. BA, unfortunately, BA, lost the area of support here down to 147. Found support somewhere else. Not sure if that means anything, but again, just I don't see anything happening here unless the overall SPY does something. I know I'm saying that a lot, but that is what it is. That is what's in the cards today. Looking at what the market is going to do and where we can find opportunities for either a scalp or for either a trend play if the SPY is going to give us that movement, right? So that's what we're looking for today. I know if you're a trader that trades individual that one of your criteria is to trade a specific catalyst on a stock, like SQ. SQ is a good one today because they have their own catalyst and they're actually trading separate from the market this morning, right? Twitter, same thing yesterday, has their own catalyst traded separate from the market yesterday. You're not going to have a lot to choose from because a lot of it is just going to be moving with the market this morning, right? But you got a couple. You have a SQ. I think Twitter's another one if you're looking to trade news related stuff. I think Twitter could be another one as well. Again, they were up yesterday. They did actually really good yesterday. They traded very well. I was not looking at it at all. I had it on my secondary list, didn't tune into it until this morning and realize how well they did yesterday here. It's tough though as a day trader to get long anywhere in here when you look over at the SPY and the Qs and everything is south, everything is red. You see it red, you got this green here. Although that's just usually where you find some good opportunities, right? Where things are doing the opposite. It's tough to take that trade. The confidence level for me wouldn't be there, right? Because eventually, these tickers that want to be strong can succumb to the SPY and the market and just kind of say, hey, we want to do this, but it's just the gravity of the overall market is too strong and it can bring them down. So it's tough to take this trade. I wonder if anybody did in our community. If you did, well done there. All right, guys. We are all set. Wait for our moderators to throw some tickers out here, but for the most part, it's similar plan as yesterday. Kind of have your favorite tickers out here, and we'll just wait to see what is moving, how, and where. And just keep in mind that the SPY can be a little choppy at first. If you're getting stopped out the first couple of minutes, just kind of hit the brakes a little bit. Save some ammo to take advantage of the moves that are going to come later down the line. It happens all the time. Today, as you see in the SPY, we're pretty much flat right now, and this thing can really go anywhere. A little bit in the green, staying above the previous day close. But I don't know. I have a feeling, in my personal opinion, that we might see some more downside here. Not saying we're going to see what we saw yesterday. Yesterday was a massacre. We're not going to probably see something like that. But I think there might be a little more downside. I think the confidence is a little bit weak. As Norm was mentioning as well, he has the same kind of feelings about, don't expect like a V reversal like we have seen in the past a few times, right? I don't think we're going to see that today, right out of the gates here. So patience. Sit on your, hands off the trigger as things get going and see what shows up. Guys, over on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, a great opportunity to hit that thumbs up. We're sitting at 137 likes. We would love to be at a 250 plus. That is a great number for us. And again, for those that have hit that already, appreciate it very, very much. So, is there news on NEO? Yeah, NEO has been doing. They had news. They had earnings a while ago. They had news of just overall, China stuff pulling back. Right, that continues to happen where they're in agreement. Like, okay, now we're not going to investigate this, that, back and forth action. But they've been doing well, man. They've been doing really well the last couple of days, and their volume is back. So again, hopefully it can become active like it's been in the past. Looking forward to NEO today. I think NEO will be a good one, up or down. Again, don't have a bias of it. Just continue to rally here, but because we're extended, this daily is very, very extended. We're seeing some weak action right now on NEO, but again, nevertheless, trading very well this morning. NEO long over to 2250, but I think we'll sell off here. Yeah, well, 2250. Yeah, that's an area where they struggle quite a bit to get above, so it's going to take a lot of juice to get that going. So that's NEO. Oxy is Oxy doing his thing. Yeah, I have Oxy here as a possible. I might move this up if I don't see anything else from the moderators that I like better than Oxy, but I might move Oxy up because uh, yesterday did not sell off as much, right? Sold off a little bit, kind of held here. We could see some movements out of Oxy today. So let's see. Let's see what it does here. Um, TWLO to cut off. Oh, more layoffs here. TWLO. Excuse me. TWLO. All right, we got some. That news just broke out. We got some activity happening on TWLO here this morning. We got some movement, so that's not good. TWLO. We'll put that on. We'll see how that develops in just a bit here. BIF. I have my two low flow stock here. Oh, BIF is setting up. Yeah, Regan. This is setting up for a possible breakout here. 41% this morning, 5.5. Again, low flow guys sitting at what's the float on this thing? It was like 945,000. So very low. Be very, very careful. Why isn't ChargePoint on your main list? You know what? I'm not sure. ChargePoint, you know, although it's been active in the past, it's not the same ticker that I used to trade before. They can be very, very choppy. They're a very hit or miss. So I might find opportunities elsewhere. And they also don't move a whole lot, right? So to get 30 cents out of charge points, it's not easy to do, right? It can take a bit because they move sideways quite a bit, right? So that's the reason I have it on here. But their daily looks good. They're starting to get even some good volume this morning. I could move this up. CHPT and Oxy both are good on my radar. So I'll see what else is looking nice here. If I don't find nothing, I can move either one of those up this morning, right? So we'll see where it goes. I would love to see this get above 1825 here and get going, but I don't know. This daily, we might see some issues getting above this area of resistance on charge point here. So let's see what happens. Nicey stock usually doesn't get great volume in the pre-market, but today they have decent volume, so it looks interesting. Yes, it does. SQ has a downgrade today, so this is why it's moving so well this morning. As you guys know, if you watch SQ very closely, they don't move well pre-market, right? They're a nicey ticker. They have to have news, and today they have a downgrade, and that is moving them pretty nice. So I really like SQ today. I don't trade them very well at times, but today could be the day where we actually can take advantage of SQ here. All right, I see some moderators coming in with their list. I have Jared, I have Brian. We'll wait for a few more to read those out, and then we'll call it a day here. Carlos, SQQQ went up yesterday when the SPY and the TQQ went down. Can you give? Well, ain't that what it's supposed to do, right, Eric? I believe so, right? Because SQQ is, and again, I don't trade these, so correct me, Jared, if I'm wrong. So this is the opposite of what the Nasdaq of the Qs does, right? So if let's say the Qs are falling down and you want to trade that action, you can go long here, right? So short the Qs, but really, I know it's kind of confusing, but if the Qs are dropping, you go in here, you can take it here. Now, be mindful, it is leverage, right? Was it 3 times leverage, guys, this thing? It doesn't say here, but it could be 3 times leverage, I believe. Yeah, 3 times, right? Usually here, they'll put 3x. This one doesn't have it, but just know that it's 3 times leverage, right? So be mindful of that. And then TQQ is if you want to play it towards the downside. So this will actually follow what the market is doing, but this one is also leverage. So that's why people tend to want to do this, right? I got that right, guys? Yeah, I think I did. And then you have other ones too, right? As well, you got other ETFs, so you can do that. Just be mindful that they're leveraged, so they're going to move a lot more aggressive than what the SPY is doing. So, for example, in here, this is from 25.59 over to 26.10. That's a big move. You're not going to specifically get that with the Qs at a lower price. You can also get more shares, so just be mindful of that. All right. I don't put them on my list, but these are in play. Obviously, the market's in play. These are tradable, and you can take advantage of that. The SPY is the same thing. I don't put the SPY on my list, but I do have a chart here in the corner that does have the SPY. So I look at the SPY and have the Qs up just to see what the overall market is doing. Eric, hopefully that helps there. What does 3 times leverage means? Well, it means that if the SPY moves 1 point, just to make it very easy, simple math, it's not exactly like this. But if the SPY move one point, these tickers are going to move three points, right? The same move is going to be exaggerated. So that's what leverage is, right? So when we say 3 times, if something moves 1, this thing is going to move 3 times, right? And you also, Jared will talk about deltas as well, and that's also kind of like Tesla has a high delta, right, Jared? And if when the market moves, Tesla tends to move very, very aggressive. High beta, high beta. Yeah. So it tends to move a lot more aggressive, right? If it's moving with the market, Tesla's going to move a lot more. So thanks for asking the question. I'm sure you're not the only one that doesn't know that. I mean, when you're starting out, it's just these are good questions, and this is the reason why we made this show, and we have a community to help questions out like that. So if you didn't know, now that is pretty clear, because you definitely want to know that. Guys, we're all set. 9:15 coming up. Let's read the moderators lineup. We'll do this, and then we'll hand it off to Brian. We have Peter reporting. Let's bring this over, actually, get you guys the visual. I'll look a little bit better. As I do this, guys, great time to hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so. Again, I highly, highly appreciate it. It does help us out a ton. So thank you very much for that. So let me just go ahead and disable the video here so you guys don't get the mirror effect. And we will bring this over, see what our moderators are looking at today. After the bloodbath yesterday, it's just incredible. There's a great post on that Andrew put on his Instagram. I'm not sure if he put it on Twitter, but he did put it on his Instagram about the Titanic, and the guy saying the spy falling apart. I'm not gonna mess it up. Just look it up. Look at his Instagram. It's pretty funny. Here it is, guys. We have Jared, energy sector, Google, Apple, secondary list, SQ, ALT. Brian looking at ALT, SQ, Neo, UNG, and Apple. Peter will be looking at AMD, Apple, Neo, secondary list, the Qs, and to be determined, some more stuff he might be adding. Megan just looking at Meta today. Susan will be looking at ChargePoint, Apple, and Oxy, secondary list, SQ, and Starbucks. Both of these two, SQ and Starbucks, they normally don't move well, but today their pre-market is looking very interesting. So definitely want to be on the lookout for those. Those could be the sleepers for today. Here's Jared adding Meta to his list. He likes the price range action we're getting there. All right, guys, we're all set. I'm going to hand it off to Brian. Thank you so much over on YouTube for joining us this morning. We appreciate you guys. We'll be on again. Engineering the Markets at 8 a.m. Make sure you tune in for that, because Jared's putting a lot of information together and helping you understand the big picture of what's happening, with the market and other things that can affect the way the market is reacting. So take care, guys. Stay safe. And we will see you tomorrow morning. All right. Good morning, Brian. So welcome to your